Well, I mean,
Okay.
unless you want to start over, but
No, we can take
Well,
here.
we could just stay right here, but
Yeah.
I gotta congratulate both of you guys, because when we first did that first meeting, it must have been what, early March or February, we did that first podcast,
Uh-huh.
and we were the first people to use the term COVID-19. Everybody else was calling it coronavirus. We used the term COVID-19. Jeff, you were the one that
You
made
used
me
the
aware of
term.
that.
I think you used it first.
Right. You
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you called it
I didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
COVID-19.
Yeah, COVID-19. I'm one of those guys, I'm a stickler for the correct phrase, the correct information, because when you're telling people valuable information, they may hear bits and pieces of it, and then they've got to go back and research it to find out on their own what you're talking about. I would be as honest enough to say, never believe a lot of what people say until you go back and do your own research. And with these new phones we have now, anything I say, you can look it up in 2 seconds of me saying it, and you'll know whether I'm pulling your leg or not, unless you are a MAGA person. MAGA people seem not to believe any factual information for whatever reason that may be.
Yeah. Like
What
they say,
about
believe half of what you hear and half of what you see and none of what you hear.
And then research it all.
Research it all. Right.
Yep.
what about that election?
Well, the election has just became tantamount with the passing of RBG. That was critical last night. That was a stunner. That was the first news that's hit me in a long time, for where about 5 minutes you had that gut punch. You know, you had the gut punch where we just lost a person that we couldn't stand to lose at any time, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We lost her last night at 84 years old, 87 years old, something like that. And a lot of things I've read today said the Republicans, before her body has even gotten cold, they're already thinking about who replaces her on the Supreme Court. And they want to give 45 a pick right away. And
right, they're trying to push that through before January. They're trying to push that through.
I thought he didn't have a pick, right? I thought he didn't have another pick.
He doesn't have a pick theoretically if he goes by what Mitch McConnell said when they waited to not put Merrick Garland in, and Mitch McConnell said, we'll wait for the next president. And he froze Obama's pick out. That would have been Merrick Garland. So this is some trickiness where the Democrats and the independents got to hold firm and not let them do this, because it's an election. I think we're down to 45 days. 45 days is too quick to do something so important where you're giving a person a lifetime deal to sit on the court. And see, that's another thing at some point we need to talk about across America. I had just moved to Michigan in 91, and somewhere between 91 and about 97, they said we need to put term limits on Michigan congressional people and Michigan senators. And at the time, I thought that was a bad idea. But when you look at Mitch McConnell and all of these guys sitting up there for 32, 35, 40 years sitting in the Senate and the Congress, that's too long. You've grown old. You've grown old, and the stuff that used to be important to you is no longer important, and financial interest has bought you out.
Yeah, and it's no longer relevant.
No longer relevant.
Changes, it's no longer relevant.
Yep.
But that's how the Republicans play the game.
And that's a nasty game they're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this election is tantamount, though. We've got some serious issues, and as everybody say, and people need to hear this no matter where you're listening to this podcast, all politics is local. And I'm saying from the school board to the city council to everything that you will vote on, you need to be voting blue this time around. Because if you're not voting blue, you're voting something that is so un-American to me. And it's the American that they taught us. They sold us as black folk on how good America was. And now the Republicans are just doing everything totally out of the box and different. And they're led by someone that I wouldn't follow to the bathroom.
Well, I wouldn't follow anybody to the bathroom.
It's some people you know
Unless
well
some
enough.
freaky stuff is about to go on, but
but you know, it's some people you follow to the bathroom. But this guy, I wouldn't follow him nowhere. Even if I had to go, I'd wait until he came out.
Yeah. Well,
Unbelievable.
It's so important to emphasize the importance of the vote, especially to those people who are not registered, and especially to those young people who are out there that might be able to swing this vote in the direction of the Democrats. So, I mean, so if you're not registered to vote, you're tuning into this True Detroiter podcast. You got Blaine Smith in the black shirt, Keith Butler in the red shirt, me in the gray shirt. I'm Jeff Lowe, and this is the True Detroiter podcast with a hook. And what the hook is, let me explain to you what the hook is. That's the new podcast that we're coming up with. It's called The Hook, and that's coming your way pretty soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down, The Hook.
Because we want to get everybody hooked on the hook so they can get in tune to what's going on in the world of sports, in the world of politics, in the world of life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, guys, we can bring it to them. All we got to do is put it out there.
and the other thing is that we're gonna have a call-in number now, so you guys will be able to call in live and talk to us and give us your views on the topics of the day, how you think, what you think about it, how you feel about it, and bring up some new topics that we're not even talking about at that time. If it's something that is important to you that you want to talk about, call in, and when we get that set up, on the next one, we'll have that number out, and you guys can call in and we can talk to Blaine, Jeff, or myself live. Chew us out, agree with us, disagree with us, argue, debate, whatever it is. That's what this is all about.
Right. It's wide open, and we can talk about it. And we don't have any restrictions. We don't have any FCC. We don't have any radio station that is monitoring us as far as what we can talk about. It's wide open, folks. It's wide open, right, Blaine?
It's wide open. Hey, give us that name again so people can know it and write it down. I know it's The Hook, the Real Detroit podcast. I think you mentioned
True Detroit.
the true. That's what I wanted to get right.
Right. Brought to you by True Detroiter, and also brought to you by, what's that name, Keith? The what?
Detroit United.
Detroit United?
That's the other clothing line. Detroit United and True Detroit are clothing. They're one and the same. But
right.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Detroit United. True Detroiter.
And Blaine Smith, baby. You know that?
Blaine, we decided we're thinking about trying to hook up something special for you. And we're thinking about calling it off the chain with Blaine.
No, I might be a little too volatile for people because they're gonna get my honest, raw opinion. And sometimes folks claim they want to hear the truth, but they want it watered down.
No, what people want, you're right. People want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear the truth.
The truth, yeah. When you go ahead.
Well, that's the whole purpose of it.
But that's okay. That's okay. We need people to tell it like it is. A lot of people are afraid to do that. I mean, look, Rush Limbaugh. What? No, who agrees with that clown? Who agreed with it? But he told his truth. He told what he wanted people to hear.
Well, he found an audience out there that believed in what he was saying. And believe it or not, it's a lot of the same folks that are MAGA folks, Make America Great Again folks, QAnon folks, all of the stuff that's so, it's almost idiotic that you can get people to believe that some of this stuff is happening. It's just amazing that he was able to find his people, his market, but he did what you guys talked about. He got on the radio, he spouted his vision. It wasn't a vision that I would ever agree to. I remember as a young sales rep when I used to drive from Detroit to Canada, because my territory, I had stamping plants in Canada. I would tune in because it would be a station you could find. And after about 10 minutes, it gave you the creeps, you know, the hair on the back of your neck would stand up just listening to some of his views.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing behind, you know, like you said, Magna, you know, 45. You
Yep.
know, he got out there and he said what certain people want to hear.
Yep.
You know, and he was crazy enough and courageous enough, I guess, to say it. And he was saying things that people wanted to hear, but wanted to say, but were afraid to say themselves
Yeah.
because of, you know, so I guess being
And
afraid
you know
of
what?
that.
Well, hey, I'm glad he said what he said, because now, you know, I mean, we're getting up off our dust and saying, hey, we need to do something about this guy, because we just can't let him go on. And that's what I mean, you know, it's too crazy to let him. If he win another term, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but the scary thing is, man, it's hard to beat an incumbent. And, you know, I've never trusted the Electoral College. You know, I could never figure out how you could win by the popular vote and still lose.
And we've had 5 elections in the history of America that has happened in. But I'll tell you, it's interesting that the language that he used woke up a certain amount of people that had been driven into the dark corners of the world. Trump's craziness and his language to them has brought them out, and now they have no fear of stepping out, saying whatever they're going to say, right in public, right in your face. I'm just glad I never run into those kind of people. That is the beauty of, I guess, my age and living in Detroit. When I do venture out, I guess at my size too, you know, I guess people don't want to run in my face and start spouting anything. And then whenever I'm out, people talk about wear a mask, and people got a little old crazy paper mask on. This is my mask. I literally look like Darth Vader when I go out. So at 6'5", 248 pounds, I see people look at me and they do a double take, and I just nod at them. Yeah, I'm that dude. Yeah, I got a series. I've had this mask since I used to be a young supervisor at Inland Steel. Matter of fact, I ordered me some new canisters from Granger just yesterday morning after I got through working out. They finally had them back on sale, because for a while I was looking for them and they had sold out. But I checked in yesterday and I got a shipment that I think is at my mailbox, and I have all my mail come to like a UPS store, so I don't have to worry about people porch pirates and that craziness. But yeah, this is my mask. I'm fully covered. I take no chances.
Hey, we might be laughing at you about that, but that's a good match. I like that match.
Oh, I've had that match since I was a young supervisor at Inland Steel. When I left to become a sales rep, I put it in a Ziploc bag, threw it in the back seat of every car I've owned, and I think I've had about 3 or 4 cars since I left Inland. When this broke out, I put my hand behind my seat, pulled it out, took some hand sanitizer, cleaned it up, and popped it on. I had 1 extra canister left. After about 2 months, I changed it out. So I ordered me 2 more pair, and I'm gonna change those out as soon as I pick up the new ones. I just believe in safety. Being an old athlete, being a plant supervisor, a sales rep, everything evolves around safety. If you're not safe, then nobody around you is safe. And that's another thing we can talk about, the COVID-19 and the safety aspects of that, because we've got that whole 45 group. They don't believe in masks, but they continue to catch it and get in trouble.
Hey, Blaine, you hit your, okay, there you go.
Yeah, there I go. I think I'm gonna have to plug in because we're on so long. I may have to go You may lose me for a minute until I refigure.
But if you just plug it in, you should be okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny
You
you
gotta go,
mentioned you know, 45 and his group of
Gotta
followers
go audio.
who don't believe in you know.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
We got you. We got you.
Okay, good.
But I was just
Good.
saying,
I
it's
had to
funny
I had to plug my power back in. Okay, I got us all on now. All
But
right,
yeah,
see, we're getting better at doing this. Now I got Jeff on, and I got you on, and I got me on.
yeah. Jeff, you can see all three of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned, you know, 45 and his followers talking about COVID. You know, it's interesting that, you know, there are people who don't believe this is real. And, you know, we lost somebody a little while ago, you know, Kane, running around, you know, without a mask on at one of 45's functions, you know, because
Yep.
it's not real. But it's pretty real to the Kane family now.
Right.
And, you know, we knew, Jeff, you dealt with it.
Uh-huh.
You know, you suffered through it for several weeks. My boy Reggie, weightlifter, young man, about 45, 46, he struggled with it and told me, he said, Butler, it was one of the worst things I've ever faced. He told me he thought he was gonna die. You know, that's how bad he felt. So it is no joke. And for those people who are, you know, don't want to be talked about or afraid to be called, you know, sissies and punks because they're wearing a mask, be called a sissy and a punk. I'll be a punk all day if it's gonna protect me, you know.
Right.
I don't care. So
hey, I go nowhere with my mask.
Yeah, I would rather err on caution than
Yeah.
to take a chance and catch this. I've just been sort of leery since it first started, and it really broke big. And it was shortly right after we did our podcast. I was still going to the gym, and I told the guys in the gym, I said, the gym is gonna shut down soon. They said, you really think so? And I think it was about April 13th, April 14th, gym shut it down. And now that the gyms are back open, I have not run back. I want to see what the numbers look like after about 3 or 4 weeks. See if there's an outbreak at any gym around the state of Michigan. I just don't trust it to be running back in there. I'm leery of all of these conferences playing college football, high school football, professional football too.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't get the protests from the parents. I don't get it. I don't get. I mean, I get it in a way because of the big dollar amounts that are tied into that. You know, tied into the college and professional sports. But you know, the billions of dollars that's wrapped into the college sports, and nobody but the school administrators, the athletic directors, the coaches, they're the only ones compensating from it.
No, don't forget the TV, you know, the television.
Well,
they're making big bucks off of it too.
Yeah, and television.
This tells you two things though, especially like with professional sports, where the athletes are being tested like what? Every day?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day? And then the college athletes who are being told that if you play, you know, you sign a waiver. So that keeps us, the school, from being, you know, liable if something happens to you.
Right.
But when I brought that up, it shows you what's really important. You know, it's not important that the health of these children and these kids, you know, it's important how much money you can bring in. Blaine, you're a starting linebacker for Minnesota. You get sick, guess who they pull in?
They pull somebody else.
Pull me in right behind you. I'm second string. I get sick, they pull Jeff in. And the game keeps going.
Right.
You know, because it's all about, like you said, Jeff, that bill.
And the only people who are not getting paid, as all of us know, is the student athlete.
And they're the ones most at risk.
And the other day I was watching a program. Actually, I watched the highlights of it. It was on Fox News, and it was the tight end for the New England Patriots. I forgot his name.
Oh,
Anyway, he was being interviewed by one of the hosts on Fox, and he started going off on what's going on with the COVID and everything, and college athletics, and she didn't like what he was saying.
He was against them starting
Yeah.
early.
Yeah,
And yeah. See, Fox it's a mouthpiece. It's we were talking about the MAGA folks and the Rush Limbaugh folks, the Fox folks. Those are all the same people, and they are taking their guidance from 45. And it is just probably the worst thing that he could have done at the time. And as we all saw this week from Robert Woodward's book, that he knew it was serious way back in January, but he tried to downplay it so he wouldn't cause a panic. And
That's what he
that
said.
wasn't the silliest thing he heard, but yet and still, that same group of folks took it. And as you're saying, Jeff, as soon as the football player started to say, well, I don't think it's right for college, I don't think it's right for high school, he said, as a pro, we're being compensated and taking the risk, but we're being tested every day, 2-3 times a day. Yeah, it is a interesting thing that it's been politicized. And whenever people say that, they try to act like both sides are politicizing it. The Republicans say what they say, and the Democrats have to answer back. Because if you don't answer what they say, then you have no voice. But since the very beginning, 45 took a stance that it wasn't serious, that it was going to go away as soon as the weather got warm, that we'll have 15 cases and it'll disappear. We just hit the number 200,000 dead in America. The United States of America has 200 citizens that have passed away since probably, well, they started counting in early January, but I'll tell you a secret. This has been going around since October or November of last year.
The COVID?
Yeah, it's been out that long. It just took them a while to name it and see it. And now, and this is the scary thing about all of this COVID-19 stuff, you are a 13-hour plane ride from crossing the world. You know, it ain't like you got to come over on a boat. You're not on a train. You're in Beijing in 13, 14, 15 hours, you're landing in Detroit. You're landing in Chicago. You're landing in New York. You can cross the world with this thing so fast. Nothing keeps up with how rapid this disease has spread. And now we're finding out that younger people can be asymptomatic and take it everywhere with no symptoms. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's a big problem, you know, that I face. A lot of people figure, well, you know, the younger people aren't gonna get sick, but just like you said, Blaine, they can still carry. And if they get around somebody my age, Jeff's age, you know, me with a heart condition, overweight, you know, black, bald, you know, the typical
pre-existing conditions. Pre-existing conditions.
Pre-existing conditions. Somebody like me, I walk up on somebody who's 18 years old, he's carrying it, he coughs, he just even talks to me. We don't have our mask on, I'm done. I'm toast. And you know, so I know a lot of people feel that their civil rights, which cracks me up. If anybody should be complaining about rights, okay, you know, we should, but they complain about their civil rights being violated because they're being told, wear these masks, wear these masks, wear these masks. Okay, how about this? Get shot in the ass or wear the mask. You know?
I'll tell you, it is so idiotic when I hear that. Think of when they introduced seatbelts, and you guys are old enough to get caught in that sort of wave. I know I was old enough to when they first came out in the 60s, and it was just the lap band. And you had a few people say, I ain't gonna never trust that thing. And little by little, we accepted that. We started to accept different things. If 45 wouldn't have came out so vehemently against face masks, against proper protocol, we wouldn't have all the foolishness that we're having now. And it's right at the point to where you've almost created two factions, that one believes whatever 45 say, other people are following science.
Mhm.
I will always err on the side of science.
Yeah, you sound like my supervisor. He's like that. Yeah. You know, he says, like, look, let's deal with science. Science is strictly, you know, fact. We're not taking guesswork. Science is just what it is, you know, factual. You know, but I'm always amazed how people are, you know, sick of it and talking about, you know, the repercussions of wearing a mask too long. I'm like, well, hell, Asia's been wearing masks for, you know, forever.
They've always had them on because of air
They've been
quality.
Air quality, correct.
Air problems, you know, they've been wearing them forever. So
Mhm.
if the little Asians, well, not the little Asians, but if countries as big as, you know, as China and so forth like that can do it for as long as they've been doing it, then something must be okay. It can't be that bad. It can't be as dangerous or as unhealthy as people are trying to make it.
Right.
Well, you can always get a note from a doctor that excludes you from wearing a mask, but that's only at your own risk. I don't understand it. We've all played sports. We've all played football on the hottest days. You've got the face mask on. It's restrictive, but you learn to deal with that. I'm always amazed at regular people who get tired of regular things so fast. I just shake my head. You are too soft on yourself if you can't wear a mask. I remember I had my mask on one day and a lady asked me, she said, can you breathe in this? I said, yeah, it is a work mask. If you are in a steel mill and they're tapping the furnace, or you've got some heavy dust and stuff coming down at the steel mill, graphite. When I was a young supervisor, I was a transportation supervisor. I rode around literally every day with this mask up because I had one guy ask me one day, he said, son, what are you trying to do, live forever? Now I'm 66 now. At the time, I was about a 24, 25-year-old foreman, and Cowboy, he was about probably 50 at the time. And he said, boy, what are you trying to do, live forever? And I said, yes, sir. I'm not gonna let this kill me. And it's the same thing I tell everybody about this COVID. Just wear the mask and make it through to the other side. You wanna be one of the people left when all of this is over, so you can sit back, enjoy a good drink and a good cigar and say, yeah, you should have put your mask on. And y'all talked about Herman Cain earlier. Herman Cain was the leader of President Trump's Black reach out. You know, he was trying to reach out to Blacks around America. He caught COVID-19 and died before the RNC convention. He was not mentioned one time at the convention in no kind of way. He gave his life to some people who didn't even appreciate it.
Right.
Well,
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It was like I was talking to a brother today. He came by the house to look at doing some work for me. And we got to talking about it. And I told him the bottom line, the truth of the matter is that the 10 percenters, and I've talked about this at work and amongst other friends, the 10 percenters and the 1 percenters, below that, you're just a number. It doesn't matter if you're Black, white, Asian, you know, American national, American Indian, Native American, West, it doesn't matter. If you're not up in that upper echelon where you're making those billions of dollars, you're a number and you're expendable. So, you know, Herman Cain, come on, with 45, you know, but don't forget, he's done more for Black Americans than anybody since Abraham Lincoln.
He has?
Well,
That
that's
is
what he
amazing.
said. That's his claim. So, you know, I'm sure he mentioned Cain somewhere in there, you know, and maybe that was his way of, you know, remembering by not remembering and not mentioning.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Down, man. Nobody gonna smoke that, you know.
Okay.
You and Blaine will, but
yeah, we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it, man.
Hey, all of this is conversation, and it leads right back to what we had said earlier. All of this is election stuff. All of this is, who do you want to represent you? Do you want a person who's highly educated, highly articulate, and they just might happen to be Black, they might happen to be Hispanic, they might happen to be Latino, they might happen to be Native American Indian. You know, it may not be the normal person you're used to seeing, but I think what has happened in America and the social unrest of the people that's been fighting the Black Lives Matter and protesting, I think you can see in that it is as many whites or more whites marching and protesting as there are Blacks. And what I think some older whites fail to understand, you put all of these young children in school, probably starting back in the late 70s and 80s, sending them to school since kindergarten together, you've raised a few generations who don't see the crazy difference you're trying to sell them on. And they can look at everything that's being captured on film when Blacks are being killed and mistreated by police. I mean, it's right out there for you to see. You can act like you don't see it. You can turn a blind eye to it, but they see it and they're reacting to it. And it's interesting. I bet if we could be a fly on the wall in some of these households, it would be very interesting to see and hear the conversations, if there are legitimate conversations, because this could be one of them things that nobody talks about.
Well,
you know,
it's going to be one of those conversations with this upcoming Democratic ticket. What do you guys think about this upcoming Democratic ticket and Biden and Kamala Harris?
I love
it. I was nervous at first because I thought it was a risky shot, because they just got rid of one of us, you know. We just got rid of one, and now the Democrats are going to take a chance with bringing in another one who is very articulate, very gracious, very powerful, very strong-willed. And I love the idea. I love her there, but I was nervous at first. Like, are we going to really take this chance? Because I blame Donald Trump on George Bush. And I said that before. I think I've told you this, Jeff, as a joke, but Bush messed up so bad that we were able to elect a Black man for the leadership of the United States of America. That's how bad Bush messed up, that they're ready to put anybody in to get, to try to soothe over what he did. But of course, Obama had to take on all that garbage that Bush left behind. So then he did his thing, and race relations got a little bit worse, because I think, personally, I could be wrong, just my opinion, that, white America wasn't ready for it. And, they started to uprise against it. We're not gonna be told what to do by a Black man. We've never been told what to do by a Black man, so we're not gonna start now. So I think a lot of the race relation issues stemmed from that.
Yeah, but what is the shift though? As you look at the Bush family now, who has kind of shifted over to the Democrat side, you know what I mean? In a way.
Well, it's interesting.
A lot of them are shifting over because a lot of them don't really don't want to be associated with 45.
Right.
Well, 45 has brought out the most vile and the worst part of a human being: the hatred, the nastiness, the name calling. And the thing about him, and it's been several books come out, his niece wrote a damning book, Robert Woodward, Mike Cohen, his fix-it attorney. Everybody is telling people that this guy is unfit to do this job. He follows a man that is very capable, very fit. And the funny thing about this is you could really see the 3% rule. You're mad at a guy whose mom is white and dad is African. He's an American-born Black. You're mad at him because he's articulate, he's intelligent, and he's a constitutional law professor. And now you've got a guy that literally cannot speak. I think most of the professionals who watch his speech patterns say he speaks at about a 3rd to 5th grade level, and now he's not even doing that well. So you accept that just because you're upset that a Black person ran the country well, took over. To use a sports analogy, when he came in the game, he was 50 points behind, and the other team had the ball on the 1-yard line going in to score. He went down, tied the game, took the lead, left you trillions of dollars ahead, and you'd have lost it. And your best thing is to bring out the true racism in America. And you know, it don't take much to fan that fan. It's always, you don't hear it too much anymore, but when I was a little boy growing up in the late 50s and 60s, you go down south and you know what you hear standing around the corner store, the South shall rise again. He's got those people believing that the South shall rise again, and it ain't coming back.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to get off the topic of Ms. Harris. What do you think about it?
I love that ticket. I think now it was some people he could have chose, but everyone that was serious he could have chose was a Black woman. Because you had Rice, who used to be the NSC. I actually thought she was the best choice because she brings international experience. But when you talk about Kamala Harris, you're talking about a person who was the first Black Attorney General of the state of California. She has won every race she's ever been in. She's never lost a race. So when you look at politics, you've got to look at that. She is a product of an Indian-born mom and I believe, Jamaican dad.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, you still got a mix of the best, HBCU bred. She very early in her life said, "I'm Black." She plays AKA. If you brothers have been on the yard, the AKAs and the Deltas, it was always a little friction, and there was always some beautiful Black women. I'll never forget them women. And I'm at Purdue. Purdue had 35,000 students when I was there. They had 1,000 American Blacks and 1,000 African Blacks. But them AKAs and Deltas, they made you feel like you was in Detroit or Gary or Chicago or wherever that Black side of town is in your town.
Look, now, don't forget the Gamma Rose and the Zeta Phi.
Oh, you can't forget none of them. But I'm just talking about those are the two oldest Black sororities in the country. Yeah, Black sororities, you know. But it was just for her to acknowledge who she was as a young girl and stick with it through everything. I have no problems with her. And when you hear her speak, and then you got to remember, she's Attorney General. She knows how to ask questions to get to the facts. And I don't know if you all have seen her when she was working last summer, asking questions to people like Bill Barr and other folks that got called in front of the Senate. She is as good a question asker and probing for information as anybody I've ever seen. It's almost, what's the old black and white Perry Mason? It's almost like Perry Mason got you on the stand drilling you, you know?
Yeah, but so she's straightforward. She doesn't pull punches, and she goes for the throat. But now that's the question. Is America ready, and can they handle that kind of person?
We got to make them ready. We can't sit back anymore. And I was one of the early guys at Purdue that just was blamesmith all the time. And I used to have people say this, and I didn't even know what it meant because I was 18 years old. People would say, Blaine, tell them how you really feel. And I thought, wow, I thought everybody told people what they really felt. I don't have a meter in me to gauge it back down. When I say something, I'm gonna drop it. And we don't need to be walking on eggshells anymore around whites, Blacks, Latinos. If somebody's out of line, the best way to let them know they're out of line is to tell them they're out of line. That is the time for America now, you know.
You think as Black Americans, since Obama was elected and Kamala Harris is getting it, is running on the ticket, do you think this breaks our ceiling? Because you know that glass ceiling is still there. Do you think that breaks the ceiling, or what?
It's always there for each and every one of us. That never goes away. That never goes away, because even after the success, and I saw Harold Washington in Chicago. You guys were young enough to see the mayor up here. I saw Richard Gordon Hatcher. Y'all saw Coleman Young. I mean, we've been there before. If you go back to Reconstruction, South Carolina, I think, had 6 or 7 Black congressional people and senators, and the old crazy Jim Crow ran that away. But we have always had intellectual people at every step of the world, or else the world wouldn't be the world. You go back, they give us no credit, but without Benjamin Banneker, the White House don't get built.
Right.
That was the engineer brother that helped build the White House. You know, so we've always been there, but this is a time with the awakening happening now, you don't go back. And every individual got to keep it from going back. You know, when you hear something stupid, you got to speak up now.
Let me ask you guys this then. You know, with Biden being, you know, close to 80 years old, or, you know,
74, 75.
75. You don't see a second term for him probably. And when people look at it, they say, okay, wow. You know, if they win, you know, Kamala might end up becoming the first
Black female
president.
Not just
Well,
Black woman, but female president.
Female president, right?
And,
Yeah,
I think it wasn't Frederick Douglass, not Benjamin Banneker, who did the White House, or was it Douglass or Banneker?
Banneker.
Benjamin Banneker. He engineered it. He was the engineer that helped the building of the White House.
He's the architect.
Yeah, he was the architect. He was the guy standing out there making sure everything was right.
Oh, we got our first phone
They
call.
give us no credit.
Okay, well, let's hear who's that, Jeff?
It's my brother.
Somebody calling you?
No, I don't think they call him about what we're doing. We're not live, remember?
Oh, okay. He's just calling to see what's going on a good Saturday. Because I know when you first called me, I thought it was cigar smoking time, and I'm always up for something like that. But I'm gonna tell you what, we're on to a good thing, because what Blacks have to get used to, and all of the rest of America, no more excuses for what we do. And this is the thing that made me mad, and I was telling Jeff this, and we've talked about this a couple of times. What made me mad that Thursday when Kansas City and whoever else they played, I don't even know who it was, I didn't watch it, the crowd booed.
Yeah.
You want to see me run, jump, sing, dance, and act, and you will literally go crazy in the stands. You will have a tailgate 4 hours before the game and 4 hours after the game. But as soon as I ask you to get up off of my neck, you mad? That is the thing that baffled me about what's going on. You just want me, as Laura Ingraham told LeBron James, just shut up and dribble. How long can I pick cotton for you? How long can I cut sugar cane for you? How long can I invent stuff and you steal it from me and you don't think I have a voice? That's why I was saying earlier, we've got to start speaking up, and we make no apologies for nothing. If Kamala Harris, after Biden them win, and Biden will probably just be a one-term guy, I don't think he wants to run again. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that's gonna right the ship. And if we do this right, and this is what people have to think of, we was talking about voting earlier. If we do this right, it may not be a Republican for the next 30 or 40 years. Because I'm gonna tell you, this dude has really shitted on his shoes. You know, that's what 45 has done. He has shown the worst of what leadership is. He's not a leader. Real true people follow the truth. This dude, I can't follow him nowhere. I'm sorry, I just can't. Can't. Will not. Won't.
He not only is shit, he has shitted all over America.
Basically. All over America and the rest of the world.
Right. Like we're gonna go to Russia. We're gonna hang out with the Russian. What is he doing?
Now let me ask you this: had that been about Obama, President Obama, where do you think he'd be right now?
Oh, he could do none of this. I just saw an article, and President Obama's wife, Michelle Obama, talked about it. Matter of fact, in her last podcast of this season, she said, and you all have heard this the way you were born and your parents told you, when you leave this house, you represent each and every one of us, so you can do no wrong. She said that hung over her and Barack's head all while they were in the White House, because they weren't worried about the white Americans judging them. They were worried about their own people judging them. How do I handle this time and be picture perfect every time I walk out? We as old athletes, what were we told every day in practice? Make every practice, every play the best you can do.
Mm-hmm.
No downtime. No, you don't have the excuse to not be perfect.
Well, hey, my old coach, you practice like you play.
Absolutely.
Practice fucked up, that's how you gonna play.
You are so right. You are so right. In my mind now, I'm seeing every level, every coach I ever had. It must be a dictum to where they learn that and they say it over and over again until it becomes the mantra of your life. I cannot have a down day.
Mm-hmm. Keith, we lost your. There you go.
Yeah.
There he's back.
I had to go somewhere where I could sit up, man. I was on the bed, so you know.
Oh, okay. You were comfortable.
Yeah, too comfortable.
Yeah, this is some heady stuff. I like it. We ain't even got a timer running. We don't even know how long we've been on.
Oh man, you know what? I think it's been more than an hour actually.
Wow.
Time is really
But
fast.
yeah, we've got to put together, because every week I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be some of these same topics. You know, we've got everything coming up and happening right in front of our faces, and we've got to put our view on it, put our pinpoint on it, because it's just important to get a view out. And sometimes they talk about real Americans. We're just real Americans. We're just real Americans saying how we feel, what we think about everything that we see, hear, and live through every day.
Real Black Americans, okay? We're
real Black Americans.
No,
Yeah.
no. We're not even say Black. We're just gonna say American. Because
Yeah, I always say
American.
Americans, and I'll tell you where I got it from. I've always had it, but when I was at Purdue, before the games, they would have this thing going over the loudspeakers, but we were down in the hole, because this is what most people don't know. Back in the 70s, the team never came out for the national anthem. We didn't come out until all of that was over. But at Purdue, they had a saying, and I'll have to get it for a later time that we're on the air. But what I never forgot, they had a little thing where they would have the crowd stand up and say, "We are Americans." And it was a whole little diatribe, but I never forgot hearing that over and over. And by the time I'm a senior, I didn't heard this from the time I'm a freshman on the travel squad till I'm a senior and I'm one of the captains. So, hey, if y'all cheering for me at the time, the place held 67,000 people. If y'all cheering for me, I must be an American. I very seldom say I'm a Black American, because when you see me, you know I'm Black.
Right.
And
Okay.
I'm American. I am American. I even like apple pie, Chevrolet, and a hot dog. You know, so why can't I be an American? Why would you? And this is what we were talking about before. You're going to cheer for me when I'm on the field, or if I'm Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk, if I'm Beyonce shaking it up and looking hot. You love all of that. But soon as I say I am a man, get your foot off my neck, get your knee off my neck, you mad at me? Because you don't want the same 6 foot, 248 pound guy to get nasty like he on that field, because you don't work out. You don't work out. Don't let me turn into that dude, because he's not nice. Y'all train me to not be nice. What did you say, Jeff? Make every play perfect. Practice like you're gonna play in the game. Don't turn me to that dude, because y'all don't have the discipline to deal with that. I'm still crazy. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Can't help it. You can call me tomorrow and I'll be, yeah, what you want? Because I'm woke.
Well, I won't call you at 4 in the morning,
You don't
trust me.
have to worry about me calling you at 4 o'clock.
If you do,
I want to give credit, you know, I was talking to my supervisor, who's a white guy, you know, and we were talking about it, and that's what he came up and he said, why do we give everybody designations? He said, if you're born here, you're just American, you know, and I applauded him for that. I said, you know what, you're right. You know, why are we African Americans? Why are they Western, you know, why are they Indian American? What? If you're American, if this is America and you were born here, guess what? You're American. Flat out.
Shoot, if you come here and get naturalized, you're an American. You know, it's so funny that and see, we have to be careful the way we talk about the majority, because if you put every group in America together, American whites are the minority. Everybody else is the majority, and that's what's happening in the world. And when you hear all of this underground conspiracy stuff, this is their fear. Excuse me, gentlemen, the ice cream truck is passing by and I've got my window open. And I used to work on a pedal ice cream thing.
Oh, you a good
like
humor man?
You a good man in Gary, Indiana. Yep, used to pedal all over Gary, Indiana. But back to what we were saying, it's just so interesting that they can always find that separator, Italian American, this American, and some of that's good because I love different foods when I go places. I love different drinks, especially alcoholic. You know, I'm not an alcoholic, but hey, if it's time to have a good drink, I'll have a good drink out of your culture. But don't separate us, because when you talk to soldiers, when you talk to people that's been in harm's way, you know, once they start shooting, we all on the same team. And and we keep talking about it. Once you put that athletic uniform on, they're cheering for you. But when I take it off, now you want to put me in a little pot. You want to put me in a little pool. I think that's just nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Well, that's been the American story. That's been the American blueprint from day one. You know, separate and conquer. Separate and conquer.
I have written something down and I've been sort of taking notes. Education. This is something that we must do better and tell the truth. And once again, 45 is fighting the 1619 Project because he don't want to have every American know the truth of slavery and its consequences to everybody. See, because you, as a white person that don't understand Black folk, I know you don't understand the true history of America. Because if you did, I saw something on Facebook today. Alexander Dumas. Everybody heard of the Three Musketeers. Everybody heard, I'm trying to think of the second book right quick. Guy was imprisoned on an island. I can't think of the name of it. But
Count of Monte Cristo?
Yeah, the Count of Monte Cristo. It was written by Alexander Dumas. How many people, even Black folk, know Alexander Dumas was a Black Frenchman? A Black Frenchman. I was in a literature class at Purdue, and after reading all the Chaucer and all of them books, I held my hand up once and I said, when are we gonna read about a European Black writer? And the professor, Blaine Smith, there you go again. You're from Gary, Indiana. What would you know about a European Black writer? And Alexander Dumas, because I had Black history at Roosevelt. And he came in the next Wednesday and stood in front of the class and apologized. We read his 2 books. But I just saw that on Facebook. A friend of mine, a friend of the family, shall I say, he had a little thing on Facebook talking about how many people know Alexander Dumas. It looks like Dumas if you look at it, D-U-M-A-S, because the French, they just cut letters off for whatever reason. French is French, but it's Alexander Dumas. You know, The Count of Monte Cristo, great book. great movies, and everybody loved the Three Musketeers. And from what I understand, the Three Musketeers was black, and so was the dude locked up in prison at the Count of Monte Cristo. You know, it's so
Yeah,
many
but that
stories.
wasn't a show back then. You couldn't have Moore as the star of the show. I mean, Shakespeare did that with Othello. Come on. How many more are you going to have? We can't have too many black heroes.
Yeah, yeah. It's just so much history that we are miseducating our children, both black, white, Latino. Everybody's getting miseducated. We need to just tell the truth. What the old thing from Sanford and Son, tell the truth and shame the devil. Aunt Esther. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Come on.
Hey,
let's throw it out there, man.
We
Because
just
if
got
you
our first black superhero, and we just
Baldwin,
when
Baldwin.
yeah,
Baldwin.
right. You know, the Black Panther.
yeah, we've boy.
I didn't know he was a part of the series before.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a bad brother. Did you realize that most
Chadwick
of the stuff he
Boseman.
did, yeah, most of the stuff he did,
Yeah.
he had like third and fourth degree, stage cancer.
yeah.
And he was doing
and
that
never
stuff.
told anybody.
Never
Told any. His whole story is amazing because Denzel Washington paid the money so he could go to drama school.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good story, and he paid it back tenfold. You hate to lose a brother like that so early. It's that was another one that was a kick to the stomach, a punch to the stomach. We've had some hard, crazy news to put up with, and then have to deal with 45 every day. Because when he comes on TV, I immediately turn the TV or mute it because I don't want to hear him. And then it's another guy, and I got to say this up here to any black from Detroit and Michigan that is listening, don't be fooled by John James. He is a Trump sycophant. His lips are so affixed to Trump's ass, he has white stuff in the corners. So don't believe nothing this brother's saying. He's another one I can't wait to turn as soon as I see him. I ain't got to hear nothing you say, because as soon as you tell me you're Trump all the time and he ain't a racist, you just told me you ain't black.
Well, if you've seen the commercial,
yes. That's it.
And brothers, not to be funny, why can't he get the white stuff out the corner of his mouth? You know, no black man needs to be seen with white stuff in the corner of his mouth all the time. I don't understand it. Don't he have some makeup people? Don't he have some people say, hey, son, look in the mirror, you got white stuff in the corner of your mouth?
Just give him a glass of water or a bottle of water to go out there, man. Wet his lips or something. I don't know.
He should know this. He's supposed to be a West Pointer and all of this stuff. Come on, man. You wouldn't pass inspection in the morning looking like that. So now you want to tell me you good for me in Michigan, and you trying to sell it because you black and I'm an ex-military and I'm a team player. Dude, the team you on, I ain't for.
I'm a helicopter pilot.
Yeah, I'm a fighter pilot. I'm a fighter chopper pilot. Yeah, I respect your service, brother. But
Yeah,
after that,
you can't knock that now,
Yeah, well, I say I respect your service, but after that, I don't respect nothing else about him because you're on the wrong team. Now, if you accepted that job for money, and see, we were talking about sports earlier, about what's got us taking all these risks is money. This brother is doing the old character in Django. He's Steven. He will play Steven for the money. He has been promised something by somebody. You can be an upper-comer here. If you're a Democrat, you'd have to wait your turn. But if you come here, we got the easy road for you. Sometimes the easiest road ain't the best to take.
Yeah. And all we need you to do is pull the black vote.
Pull the black vote, and the whites gonna vote for you because you sucking up on Trump. So come on with it, brother. You almost in. Just praise me. Praise me. Now, I'm a hard man on that praising a human being.
And again, we must reemphasize the importance of getting out to the polls and exercising that vote.
Yep. If you're not registered, get registered. if you're not voting, I don't understand that. My first election, I was an 18-year-old in 1972. I got to vote for McGovern against Nixon. My guy lost, but before I was out of college, Nixon had to step down because Watergate got him.
Right.
So yeah, so I was vindicated. And it's been a few times I voted and my candidate lost, but I vote every election, everywhere I've ever lived. The first thing I do when I move is get that change of address and register and vote in that area, you know, because I can't let a vote get away. Too many great Black folk have been killed just because they didn't want us to vote. And I hear all of these things on these different stations around here. 910 has some guys on at the power station here talking about, well, we don't know who to vote for because the Democrats ain't treated us right either. Yeah, that's why you vote for somebody and lay heavy on them and make them do right. But who has never treated us right since Abraham Lincoln, and that is for a debate, is the Republican
Yeah, that's a
Party.
big debate.
Yeah, that can be debated, you know, and there's some good debates on that. But I know the Republicans, you talk about Reagan was good for America. Reagan was good for putting dope in the Black community and hyping up the arrest records. He was the one that coined the phrase welfare queen. I mean, all of these negative things that you hear spouted by Republicans, that's why they love Reagan so much. He gave him the edict, the Bible that they live and follow. He was the one that thought of all of this gerrymandering. How do I control a district? Don't make a district look like it makes sense when you gerrymander. For congressional people, we were talking about that the vote, you know, they gerrymander that. You know, that is a trick. When you look at even my district where I vote in around here, the 14th district, if you look at that line, it's not just a box or a straight line, it's gerrymandering. I want to take the choicest pieces of everywhere so I can keep my enclaves of whites together and let them have the Black enclave. And if we can win the state, we win the electoral votes in that state, therefore winning the electoral college. You know, and that's another thing we need to look at. We were talking about looking at term limits for national, congressional, and senators. We need to look at the electoral college, and it may be time to take that thing down. And we darn sure need to look at, why does North Dakota and South Dakota and Wyoming have 2 senators when some of them barely got 5 million people in it? Right. The state of California got 40 million people in it, and they got 2 senators. So why don't we give them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 senators? See, the whole Constitution in the next 30, 40 years need to be completely redone. And that's what the founding fathers knew. The Constitution is never complete. As we grow and get better, it must grow and get better because things change. You know, some of the stuff we used to say, a man, a man, a man, you can't make that statement no more. Now you got to say a person. Yeah. You know, it's just we've changed, and we've changed for the better. We've changed for the better, and all these people jumping up and down don't want to change. Hey, jump off the bridge like the lemmings you are. If you following 45, keep on following, putting bleach in your mouth, you know, putting lights up your butt to see if you got coronavirus. You know what? Don't get me on that, dude, man. Y'all gonna make me go over to the bar and pour some 12-year-old scotch.
Well, we won't stop you.
Say it is a podcast.
Well, look, you guys, let's wrap this one up today.
Right.
Let's wrap this. How long we been on, Jeff?
I don't have a timer. We've been on a long time. No?
Well, once we get off, we'll be able to look at when we started, because usually Zoom only will give you about 40-something minutes.
Yeah,
no,
this
about
one
40 minutes.
It opened up. I saw where it says we've gone past the time limit. but they're
Oh,
gonna let us
okay.
go. So
Okay, because I
we
know
go a little bit further than that.
that group that we were talking about early in the morning do the 8:30 stock call. They cut us off right around 45 minutes, but we're over the limit too with people. We've got 50 people. So since it's 3 of us, they probably just think we're just having some friendly banter, but this is some serious stuff we're talking about. And as you guys were saying earlier, Keith and Jeff, we need to look at doing this live and then putting it up 2 or 3 times a week. Because I'll tell you, on my Facebook page, that first podcast we did with you guys is still on my thing. And I still get hits and comments on that as if it was yesterday.
And that's what I'm talking about, and that's what I think we should do with all of these. You know, throw them up on our personal Facebooks, throw them up on YouTube, and like Jeff and I have talked about before, you know, we'll make a YouTube channel, and at that point we can just dump them up, upload them every time we finish. Every time we finish one, we can just upload it.
Put it up, upload it. That'd be a smart thing because we've hit on several topics: COVID-19, the election, RBG, the safety of COVID-19 as far as high school, football, colleges, pros, normal people, Herman Cain, Black Lives Matter, the DNC, Biden and Harris, education. We didn't hit on a whole bunch of topics.
What's amazing, when you get to talking and you get in a good conversation with good people, it's amazing what comes out and how long it goes. And before you know it, you know, the day is gone.
The time is flying.
The time flies. But Blaine, you're a wealth of knowledge. You know, it's wonderful listening to you, man. The stuff you come up with, the stuff you know. I mean, I'm learning stuff.
It's amazing. I've always just been a good student. I wasn't the straight A guy, but I was the guy gonna keep reading that book till I finally understood it, and it made sense to me. And that's the way I do life. I don't overreact to it. I don't underreact to it. I see it. I'll take a little of that. I won't take that. I always tell Jeff, I'm like, Jeff, I ain't got nothing to say. And Jeff said, no, you got something to say. And that's the same thing you say too, Keith. Because the first thing I'm going to tell you, don't nobody want to hear me. I'm crazy. As my mama used to say, I'm crazy as a Betsy bug.
I tell you, hey, this has been great. Again, you got Blaine Smith, Keith Butler. I'm Jeff Lowe. This is the True Detroiter podcast. Well, I should say
The Hook.
Hook.
The Hook.
Hook. Brought to you by the True Detroiter. And what's the other?
Detroit United.
Detroit United. I wrote that down.
Yes. And hey, we'll be coming to you right here, whether it's Facebook, YouTube. We're gonna have our YouTube channel up shortly. We want you guys to tune in. It's gonna be fun. You're gonna be able to communicate, call in, text us, and do all that kind of stuff. And we're just gonna have a good time. We're gonna share information, get educated at the same time from all of us. Hey, and like you, Keith. Hey, every time I tune in to Blaine Smith, man, I get educated, man. So you can't blame it on Blaine. You can't.
Hey, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure. I love it.
No, thank you, Blaine. And remember, we're gonna set it up, and you guys will be able to. Well, I guess you won't be able to call in because we're not gonna be doing it live, right? So.
Right.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yep. Beautiful, guys. Thank you.
We figured this much out in COVID, right? It seems to be working.
See, that's another conversation because what they're finding out is you can be as big as a big production center. You guys showed me that, and some other people I know have shown me that, doing it just the way we're doing it. Our phones and our voices are as clear as if we had tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Blaine. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. You guys
signing off from the Hook. Get
Later,
hooked
Jeff.
on the hook.
Later,
and I got to get a hook to clean up my basement. But that's true, huh? All right. I'm signing you off, Keith, in a minute.
All right, man. Peace, guys.
All right,
All
Gary.
right, later, guys.
All right,
Later.
in a minute.